Well, it's a sad day in the life of Battlefield fans across the globe. I'm of course talking about the news we received today that Battlefield 5 officially has an end of content date set for this June. DICE announced today that after June 2020, we will no longer receive any new maps, weapons, skins, or anything. The only thing that they may work on past that is beefing up community games to make it a bit more robust, and then optimizing the game's running just a little bit. The game's finally going the way that we feared all along. I've been a bit unsure on what to do this morning after reading this news shortly after waking up. I was all geared up to put some time into BF1, which I'd just finished downloading overnight for PC, but EA's reveal took all the wind out of that sail. I instead loaded up BF5 so that I could finish Chapter 6's rewards, since it turns out this is the final chapter. There will be no Chapter 7. Instead, there's just going to be a large content dump in June for presumably all the rest that they have in the tank. So what can we expect? Well, I've seen mention of an African desert map that is sort of a port from that failed 5v5 experiment, but other than that, who knows? And does it even really matter at this point? I saw a lot of people say this announcement today was a surprise. I myself was a bit shocked to see it this morning, but I think that's simply because of how abrupt it was. It came out of nowhere, sure, but I'm not at all surprised that it's happening, and you shouldn't be either. Look at the life cycle of this game. It's been a disaster from the start. Maybe it's for the best that EA and DICE are pulling the plug on this game. Sadly, it seems it will never reach the redemption point like BF4 did before it. When I was playing this morning, I don't know if it was because I was dwelling on the news of BF5's cancellation or what, but I began to notice again all those little things that I had worked so hard to ignore. I was playing poorly, first of all, which of course doesn't help, but I was also struggling to clamber over certain bits of terrain like rocks. There was hackers in every server I joined, planes and tanks were running virtually unopposed all over infantry, and to top it all off, I got that pesky death bug where you're just stuck watching the battle rage around you, unable to do anything. This got me to thinking about all the other things that are still not fixed in the game. There's far too many to name all of them in this video, but it's a bit insane all of the things that are annoying and frustrating that are still present long after the game released. I mean, the assignments thing is huge, right? Half are written so poorly you don't want to do them, and you still can only activate 4 at a time if you choose that you do want to do them. Firestorm was completely abandoned. Grand Operations is a shell of the grandeur it was in BF1. Team balance doesn't exist. Soldiers are still really hard to spot, and visibility was an issue throughout the life cycle of this game. I don't know, guys. Even more stuff I can't think of is still wrong with this game, and they're just dropping it. Apparently, it's too far gone to save, which, again, is something I think we all already knew deep down. Did this game ever really feel like World War II to anyone watching? I think that is another huge issue that plagued this game from the start. You've got to come into something huge and recognizable like World War II and give folks pretty much mainly the large, popular battles to start. Then, as you go on down the line, that's when you can start adding the lesser-known battles to give people some new perspectives and a fresh experience to keep the game alive. I think that would have been a much better direction to take the live service. I mean, sure, there's constraints of historical context, they suck, but that's the box you put yourself in when you decide to go historical. So what good is coming from this announcement? Let's try to focus on the positive for just a second. First of all, we are at least getting one last set of new stuff. So we still have that to look forward to. EA also said that there will be further improvements to community games, which is good. If they're going to dump us and leave the game for dead, at least there are some robust tools available on the horizon to keep the people who still want to play afloat. Along those lines, they also say that they will keep some focus on making sure the game is running smoothly, and that they are continuing efforts to keep hackers at bay. They're basically doing the equivalent of keeping us comfortable until death, but at least that's better than agonizing slowly like the whole life cycle of BF5 has been on many Battlefield fans. I think it's a pretty bold move to end support for a title and then not even have a new one announced. What does that possibly mean? Are we really supposed to just hang in limbo until fall 2021 when the next installment in the Battlefield franchise is supposedly releasing? Could this possibly mean that the next one is being moved up? Some are even rumoring that this could be it for the Battlefield franchise altogether. The cards are there if you look at it that way. BF5 was an utter failure, and no doubt a flop on the pocketbook of EA. DICE LA is now working on an entirely different IP, which leaves DICE Sweden with Battlefront and a new Battlefield. Is there room for both? Given the history of both Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5, maybe not. It really seems like the passion, creativity, and manpower are simply no longer present at DICE. It may be time to dump one game, and do you really think EA is parting ways with a contract with Disney? I doubt it. Let's get real. Like I've said many times before, I'm a bit late to the Battlefield franchise, but I'd hate to see it go. It's been a staple in FPS games for over a decade, and even if I only watched it from afar 10 years ago, it would be straight up weird to see it gone. I myself really hope that the next Battlefield is still on the table and that EA and DICE have a clear vision for the game and really allow the proper amount of time to get it right, whatever direction they choose. Whatever they end up with cannot, I repeat, absolutely cannot be what Battlefield 5 turned out to be, or Battlefield as a franchise probably will be cut because people will simply be done with it. There's already far too much lost trust at this point. So where is my channel here on YouTube going from here? I know I haven't been the most consistent on posting videos, and a lot of that has been chalked up to dealing with COVID-19 and some lifestyle changes. But with this BF5 news, I think the direction I was beginning to turn is going to become even more of a thing. This channel is not about Battlefield solely. I know it started out as that, but the channel is now more about FPS games in general and what I'm doing to improve my gameplay in all of them. There's still going to be highlight videos, but they will most likely come from a variety of sources as I kind of figure out which game I'm going to be working on primarily. I'd love some input from y'all as well. What would you like to see? On that note, I think that will about wrap this one up. I just wanted to discuss the Battlefield 5 news and the opinions and thoughts that I had swirling in my head about it all. I've about run out of steam now though, so we'll probably call it here. I've just recently downloaded BF4 and BF1, so expect to maybe see some clips of that beginning to appear here and on Twitter and Instagram. I'm by no means done with Battlefield as a franchise. Let's just hope in return that Battlefield isn't done with us. I wanted to extend a special shout out and thank you to all the wonderful Battlefield community members I have met and interacted with through BF5. Y'all are awesome, and you're what helped make this the best community in the world, even if the games sometimes aren't so great. Anyways, that will wrap this one up. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and I'll hopefully see you on the battlefield. Take care.